Malcom Reed from HowToBBQRight and the competition cooking team Killer Hogs. What's up, Malcom?
What's happening, guys? Good to be here, man. You got me excited about this hot seat tonight.
All right, real quick, we'll go through the chat. Give the people that wait for the notification a second to get on there. We got Keith Bettag, Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin, Lewis at Our Shack Barbecue, Raleigh Smoke, Barlow Barbecue, Kent Vanderweerd doing the moderating for tonight, Mark Pugh from Barbecue Brethren, Aaron Curto, Russ Jones, Smoky Ribs, Dan, Smoky Goodness, also with the moderation team, and I love you guys. Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue, Mike Everyday Barbecue, and that's as high as I'm scrolling up. So let's get this thing started. And Meathead, and Baby Back Maniac, and Barbecue Pit Dog, and Christie's Cooking Channel. All right, I think I'm caught up. All right, Malcom, where are you from?
I'm from Hernando, Mississippi, right up just outside of Memphis, not too far.
All right, 5 kids, dog, chinchilla, what you got?
I got, all the above except the chinchilla. It's me and my wife, Rochelle. We have one son, Michael, and a little dog, Minnie, who thinks she runs the house. So if you hear her barking in the background, just pay no attention to the little dog.
It's always the little dogs that like to get the attention.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you have a real job, or is this your real job?
This is my real job. I barbecue every day. No, we run our channel, How to Barbecue Right, and we also have the website and Killer Hogs website. Between those three, it keeps us pretty busy trying to keep up with everything. A lot of times it feels like we're just holding on, but yeah, that's both of our full-time job.
All right, for anybody that's new here, and I'll repeat this a little bit further down, this is kind of the format of the show. Is I've kind of got a list of questions. Everybody that's in the chat is more than willing or more than welcome to type a question in there. Scott will write it down, and we will weave those questions in as time allows. So just ask away. And another thing real quick before I forget, we are doing a giveaway at the end of this show. So what you will need to do is after the show's over, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, I'll probably do the drawing next week, but we're going to do a giveaway of Killer Hogs barbecue sauce, the rub, the AP rub, a hat, a shirt. I feel like there was 6 items. You remember what the other one was, Malcom?
Oh man, probably or something like that.
Anyways, there's a 6th item that one person is.
Hey, Chris, let's go ahead and make that 2 of those tonight. Let's let there be 2 winners. Well, I think that's a good thing. So,
all right, Malcom, that's awesome. All right, guys. So, what you'll need to do is comment. You can comment anything you want. Doesn't matter. We'll pull the random comment generator, do it live, and the first 2 people that the random comment generator pulls up, you will get. Each of you guys get those 6 items. 5 that I named off. The 6th one I can't remember. I'll go through and figure out what it was. All right. So who taught you how to cook, Malcom?
Man, I'm growing up in the South, I was always in the kitchen, and both my parents loved to cook. Neither one of them barbecue, but we were always, family functions were started around barbecue. That's kind of what we do. The big holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. I can remember as a kid going to barbecues. I kind of got into doing what I'm doing now because of competition barbecue. In our town, South Haven was where I grew up, which is just a few miles north of here. They had like a Spring Fest contest every year. And it was a tune-up for a lot of these teams for Memphis in May, the World Championship of Pork. And growing up, going to that contest and being around it, we had friends that had teams. And when we started going, we got old enough that we kind of jumped on one of the teams. And at that time, it was just to party and chase girls. But as the years went on, we got older and it got slower. I caught me a good one. And we started to concentrate more on competition barbecue. This was before the internet, from what I call the barbecue internet, but it was before YouTube or anything like that. I didn't barbecue forums or anything. And my wife had the idea to start a website. She was in that field. So she made killerhogs.com. And from there, we just used it along with MySpace to share pictures and partying and cooking. We weren't really doing recipes or anything. But then she got the idea to start a newsletter. This was when newsletters first got going. And I said, nobody's going to read a newsletter that I write because I'm not a writer. And she said, what do you want? You know, just write about barbecue. And that's kind of what started it all. I started the HowToBBQRight website because I didn't have a better name for it. That's just what I said. I said, I'm going to call it HowToBBQRight. I had to let those go and concentrate on this full time.
So when did your brother come into the team?
He's been there the whole time. He's the other half of Killer Hogs, and he was always been the serious competition cook. I was the guy that kind of ran the parties and and had the bad hangover, and he came in and got all the meat on early in the morning and stayed, and then I'd be there for judging and all that. But it wasn't until I started really concentrating on cooking to where I started developing recipes, and we cut out all that. Our team at one time probably had over 20 members, and now it's down to just me and him and my wife. So we take it more serious now, and we both, I couldn't do it without him, and he'll probably tell you he could do it without me. But
music bands, etc. are.
Man, I like that Mississippi Hill Country Blues. Bands like North Mississippi All Stars or R.L. Burnside, Cedric Burnside, Junior Kimbrough, that type of music. It's a little different than the Delta Blues. It's a little more rhythm and faster paced music. It's not the slow. It's the blues that makes you get up and want to dance.
Right.
So I'm kind of Southern rock, a little bit of country. I like it all.
All right. Somebody from YouTube or from Facebook asked me to ask you, what's the largest amount of people you have cooked for?
Man, that's a tough one. I would say over 1,000. We've done some big catering jobs. I mean, I've been a part of, some of these big cooks where we're feeding big companies and stuff like that, picnic. So I would say that's probably the biggest one I've ever done.
Any advice for anybody wanting to get into barbecue catering?
Catering's a great business. I would just say don't bite off more than you can chew at first, and the best advice is go out and take your food safety class, get certified so you don't make anybody sick. That's the last thing you want to do. Get you some decent equipment to where you're not fighting the grill to cook everything you're trying to cook if you want to get into catering. But I'd start small. I mean, I wouldn't. I didn't start out catering for groups. I started out, keeping it around 20 at first, and that's how we learned to cater because we would do catering events at our barbecues to raise money to cook.
All right. So I seen Blind Grilling. I don't know if you know his channel, but he's blind and he grills. But he just typed in the comment section, your videos gave me the confidence to scrolled off to attend many cooks regardless of my blindness. And with that, so I've had more people when I asked if you got any questions for Malcom, let me know. And I got more. Tell Malcom that this video or that video is, we cook this once a week, or it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I just wanted to pass. I did a terrible job on passing it on, but I just wanted to pass it on.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I love to help people, and if that's kind of why I would make these videos that we do to help people cook better. I mean, I don't think there's any really wrong way to barbecue. That's kind of goes along with my How to Barbecue Right. The only wrong way is not to do it. So if somebody's inspired by it, man, if I've got one person watching, I'll keep doing it.
Right. All right. So another question from Facebook was, what's your most memorable cooking failure?
Oh, man. Well, this goes back to one of the catering jobs we've done. We were doing much just smoke. I guess it was real wet wood or something. And so we've got 80 turkeys on this pit. And we have, we've turned them all. They look like charcoal. And I was like, what are we going to do? These people have paid for these turkeys. They're expecting them in 6 hours. We've got to do something. We don't have time to.
All right, Scott, you got anything? I've seen some people have been chiming in. I saw Lewis asked, and I'll ask it so you don't have to shot it because it just came across. Wants to know, Malcom, what cookers do you use for competition?
On my comp trailer, I have Old Hickory Ace MM, and I also have a Big Papa Smoker drum. That's one of the I had a refurbished drum, and I bought the kit from Big Papa Smokers and put it together and just painted it with some high heat paint. That's the only two. First, I've been doing a lot of these steak cook-offs, and I've been cooking on PK grill.
So I'm seeing
Just
people are
a
saying
whole lot of love in the chat for you, Malcolm. Yeah, it looks like you've inspired a lot of people, man, including
Man, that's
myself.
great.
So
Hope
thank you
guys.
very much, and thanks for doing the hot seat tonight. It's a pleasure to sit and listen to you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
So I see a lot of people are saying they're having a lagging issue. And usually if there's a lagging issue on this end, I can usually see it with us. But try refreshing your screen. I don't have a better answer right now to anybody that's having that issue. All right, let's move on to the channel section of the questions. So what is it you film with?
Well, right now we're using a Canon 80D, and then I have like a little Zoom mic with Zoom recorder with the lapel mic. That's all the equipment we use. We use iMovie to edit everything on a MacBook, and we keep it simple.
All right. I hate asking people that are this big this question, but what smokers and cookers do you have? I'm going to take a nap real quick and while you talk.
Well, I'm kind of sitting in my office looking out, and Yoder 640 sitting here. I've got a PK 360. I've got a Traeger Timberline 850. I've got Old Hickory CTO. Got a Gateway drum. I've got a Big Green Egg. I've got a Gorilla Kong ceramic grill, a Weber kettle, 22-inch kettle sitting here, and a Napoleon gasser. That's right out here in my little cooking area. And in the garage, I've got a Backwoods competitor, and of course, I've got a hog cooker, a trailer with a hog cooker on it. And I've got my regular cook trailer with another Old Hickory MM and
All right, so somewhere on my list of questions, I know this one's on there, and I usually wait for it, but if you had to pick only one on a desert island, what would you have?
Oh, man, that was tough.
And we'll say that for argument's sake, that desert island may or may not have electricity.
That's what I was going to say. I probably don't have electricity. The drum, because I could build a fire in it if I get cold, stand around it. I could cook on it. I could grill on it. And I could probably drums a lot, because a lot of the questions we get about what kind of smokers to buy, and for the money, it's hard to beat. You can usually find a refurbished drum for around $20, and you get those kits.
Drum smoker, but one of the questions, or one of the things I've seen a lot, is people say, make sure you don't keep the lid off for too long, or else it'll take off on you.
That's true.
How long is not too long, and then if you do, how long does it take to come back?
I mean, I took my lid off enough to load it, to take stuff on and off, to glaze and anything like that. You just have to know that anytime you add oxygen to it, it's all sucking it right down to that fire, and it just wants to make it roll. And anything like that. You just have to know that anytime you add oxygen to it, it's all sucking it right down to that fire, and it just wants to make it roll. So, I wouldn't leave it off for a couple minutes or anything.
But he's still having the glitching issue. Mine justly glitched. I was sitting there thinking nobody else had commented. I'm going, what the heck happened? So I have no idea what's going on. That's just weird.
I haven't seen any issues on this end. Hopefully we're overloading YouTube, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Funniest thing that's happened while filming that we never saw after editing.
Oh, man. I don't know about that, because probably dropping something, like just smooth dropping a steak or something like that. There's not many times where I have to spit something out. Now, there was one time where I cooked some lamb ribs, and they were harder on my egg one time, right in the middle of a cook. I had it propped up.
You.
Man, John Goodman.
But there's no lag at El Gore. I have no idea. Oh, Tango Joe said, I bet there's no lag at El Gore's house. All right. So at what point on YouTube did you know you were going to make it?
Man, I don't know. it seems like we hung around, 1,000 or so subscribers there for 5,000 or 6,000 people that subscribed to that. So when I started putting links to my videos in my news out, it automatically sent people over to the YouTube platform. So, it helped us grow a little bit, but we all have growing pains. I remember it seemed like it took forever to get to the 100,000 threshold. That was I just say hang in there. That's the best advice I can give you on that, because it'll start growing exponentially.
Right. Guys, I don't know what's going on with the thing. All I can tell you is hang in there. I know some of you guys keep refreshing because I can sit there and watch this thing go from 30-some viewers to 17 and anywhere in between. Worst case scenario, swing back by tomorrow and YouTube will have it recompacted or whatever the hell they do. But we ain't going to quit. All right. So I wrote this note, and it's probably not going to come out well, but I think you'll understand it. You are one of the few channels that stresses there's a major difference between cooking in your backyard and in a competition. So what are the differences, and why do you think comps have gotten so far away from what someone would want to actually eat an entire meal of?
Well, you got to think, competition barbecue, we're just cooking for one bite. And because those judges are trying so many samples that day, they're not going to sit down and eat a slab of ribs. When I'm cooking stuff at home, it's meant to, to make a meal off of it. We're packing every bit of flavor in we can have the one bite barbecue in competitions. And so if you think of it like that, it's a little over the top. It's a little sweeter. Got all. I like more of the Texas flavors, or just where you can really taste the meat. Simple stuff. And that's what I try to cook.
So I know the first time I bought a bottle of Blues Hog, and I was sitting in my living room eating chicken nuggets and Blues Hog. And I took a bite, and I'm like, man, this is really good. And then once I stopped shoveling food into my mouth, the cloying sweetness hit me. And I looked at Miss Hobo, and I said, I don't know how this is popular, because this is terrible. And
that's a staple of every barbecue team, I promise you.
Right. And since then, I don't know if I've adapted to where it doesn't bother me so much, but it's like I've gotten used to it. I mean, it's not something that I would want all the time, but mixing it with beans or something like that, I've figured out how to take that level and master it, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you just have to think of it as it's a little bit jazzed up. I mean, for one bite, if you're going to make a slab of ribs and all you were going to take was one bite, you would pack everything you could into it. And, if you want to sit down and eat the whole rack, of course, you're not going to do that, or you'd be sick for 3 days.
Right. All right. So this is the home backyard cooking section of my list of questions. Scott, before I get into there, do we got anything?
Yeah, we got one for you. Chris Jar Chow, or I don't know how to pronounce it.
They're off, man. I usually bring a catch or two, not just for me, but we got to, Waylon, he likes to have a few when he's cooking.
And Meathead wants to know if you can give Chris Hobo Nichol a shout out so he can get over 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out, just paying homage to Malcom from Rusty BBQ. He just wanted to say he was inspired by Malcom and a lot of us that are in here in the group for cooking and barbecuing. So he says thank you to everybody. That's from Rusty BBQ.
Thanks, Rusty.
We caught up?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry, I mean Captain.
All right. Malcom, what's a weekday meal look like at your house?
Well, tonight we had salad. I had for lunch, we did like some omelet cups that my wife's got me on a diet. Eat healthier. So we had, we skipped breakfast. We had a couple little omelet cups for lunch, and then we had a salad with some grilled chicken strips for dinner, and that was it. Right, salmon last night, so I'm going to have to make up for it at the competition tomorrow.
Is that the salmon that was in the video you put out today?
Yeah, that was dinner. That was dinner last night.
I'm not a fish guy, but a video. I can enjoy the learning experience even if I won't eat it.
Salmon's good stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge fish guy either, but once in a while.
All right. So this came from Facebook. What rubs and sauces besides your own are your favorites?
Oh man. Well, some stuff that I know I have in there. So, I have some of Mark Lambert's Sweet Rub O' Mine. I have some buddies from Swine Life's Mississippi Grind. So these are all new. This is new stuff. Tennessee Mojo's Mojo Rub. That's a good one. I mean, Cosmo, he's got some great rubs. Of course, the old Yardbird from Plowboys is a go-to rub.
I've hacked YouTube, and we're getting glitching about every 30 seconds to a minute. All you got to do is place a comment. We'll do the random comment generator. I re-looked back through my picture, and there is only 5 items. It is a Killer Hogs hat, a Killer Hogs shirt, the Killer Hogs rub, the Killer Hogs AP rub, and the Killer Hogs sauce. So all you got to do is put a comment after the show's over, and sometime next week I will do the live draw, and 2 people will take each of those items, the whole set, home. All right. So this comes from Christy's cooking channel. What's the best thing and the worst thing you've ever cooked?
The best thing, oh man, it's probably whole hog. It's my favorite thing to cook too. The worst thing, oh man, it's probably no, I've messed some fish up in my day. It all depends on the freshness of it. That's the big thing with fish. And I had some, I guess it would have been in the freezer for a while. It wasn't very fresh.
How big a pain in the ass is that? But I'm going to go through that process.
It's not hard cooking a hog. I mean, the whole thing, I guess it's daunting because it's a big animal, but a lot of it's just the prep that goes on to get it ready to put on the pet. That includes, I mean, you got to do 4 hours worth of prep on top of that too, a lot of times. Now, that's competition hogs. I mean, I know some guys just throw them on and cook them, but I like, the way we do them, I do them on their back. We clean them up real well. We split the ribs, split the backbone. We stuff it with sausage, to make sure you get all the sinew off everything, because I want to make bark on it all, so all the flesh is exposed. We wrap. One guy to do it is hard. You really need some help because it takes so long to do it, and it's heavy to lift. So you just have to really plan out. Hog cooking is more planning really than it is cooking.
All right, so I'm going to ask a personal, since I have you cornered here, and you can't really wheel away too far, else I taught the dog to attack you. You ever cooked alligator?
Just fried. I've never cooked it on the grill or smoked it. But it's really, I take that back. I've kind of fishy tasting, so I probably wouldn't like it. But when we eat it, the times I've had it, it's all been tail meat.
Got me back 2 more fillets, so I was looking for some insight.
Yeah, no, that's you got to find the occasion, man, for that. I've got some buddies that could probably steer you in the right direction.
T writes that he's smoked alligator, good stuff. I might try that. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. I think we kind of touched on this, but I can't remember. How did you get into competition cooking?
It started, I guess it's kind of blossomed out
in the Barbecue Brethren's forum, where there seems like there's a certain point where a team's too big, and there's a certain point where you got guys that can do it by themselves. Is there kind of any insight on that? Personal thoughts?
I guess it comes down to how serious you are about it, or at least it did for us. We found out that we had 2 or 3 people that were doing all the work, and then we had, a dozen partiers that just wanted to show up and drink and expect you to have food ready and all that just because they pitched in $100. And, we kind of grew out of that. We grew out of the whole party aspect of barbecue, and we decided we were going to start taking it serious. And, so we enjoy it that way. I still like to have a good time. I just, tone it down a little bit when money's on the line.
All right, so knowing what you've told me already, I'm going to rephrase the question that I wrote, which started out with, how were your first few outings, and looking back, what were your downfalls? And I'm going to kind of frame that into when you started to get serious phase and got out of the funsy stage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been doing it long enough to know what we needed to do. So, I don't know if we had any downfalls, but there come a point to where we started, really doing well, and it just kind of clicked overnight. The big thing we did, we went out and took the judging class, and we learned, to go out and judge instead of cook a few times and see what people were looking for. And then we adapted that to our style of cooking, and we started getting better. This was before anyone that I knew of was teaching barbecue classes or anything like that. You just kind of learned as you went, and we practiced all the time. We cooked at home. We were building blind boxes at home. I mean, every weekend, if we weren't out competing, we were still at home practicing and getting it down. Of course, you don't.
Those or any resemblance of real life, because I've kind of read that it's nowhere near there. But does it become I don't want to say a viable income, but when I read it costs X dollars to compete, and versus what the return is
I don't think I've ever cleared any money doing competition barbecue. It's more sucking it away. But I mean, we're lucky to walk away with some money, but you don't really do competitions for the money. We do it just because we like it, and it is. I use it as a kind of a marketing tool for what I do too. It helps with visibility, being out at contests, and me using my products, and people see us doing well with them. So, and that in turn leads to sales or to people visiting my site. I don't know very many people that are doing comp barbecue and don't, for a living. I mean, you'd have our trouble keeping the lights on, I would imagine.
All right. So what's the basics for, just say, hey, I'll start up a competition barbecue team. What do I need? What would you mentor me for my first cook or competition?
Well,
should somebody expect from a class? Kind of give me the 30,000 foot. This is what you learned during a class.
Well, we teach classes, so I can tell you what we teach. And I try to go to at least one a year, but when I go to one or when I teach one, I want to know, about the meat selection. Of course, I want to know about the prep, how you're trimming your meat, what kind of rubs and sauces you're using, the process, actual recipes of stuff. I mean, when to glaze them at the end, and then how to take that, put it in a box, and turn in a winning entry. That's the biggest thing that I think you would learn. When I go to classes, man, I'm glued in when it comes time to build those boxes, because that's what it takes to win, building a perfect box.
All right.
You got to think cooking. Everything we're cooking is cooking to a temp. We're not cooking to times. We're all cooking to internal temps, and so doneness of meat is something that everybody really should get. Everybody should know how to cook it to the right degree of doneness. Flavor and presentation's the big ones that you got to learn.
Right. So do you find? So I don't know how far out you guys travel, but I've always read that some parts of the country have certain taste sections, and how do you learn to adapt to those things per se?
Well, we learn from trial and error, but yeah, that's true. Different regions have different flavor profiles. For if you go to Texas, South and Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama and Tennessee, we burn cherry wood with our hickory wood. So it's just little bitty changes like that you adapt for your regions. You don't get really far out of the box, but you got to know just by experience or talking to people, and asking them what's working. And there's you'll find most of the people in competition excuse me, got a little dry there, but most of the people in competition barbecue will help you out. I mean, it's a great network of it's like a family. I mean, when it comes to turn-in time, you're not gonna have too many.
All right. I was trying to figure out how to word this question today. So the whole shigging ideas and stuff like that, is that as prevalent as it looks like on TV, or is that?
Oh yeah, man! You got people that come by and always got their eyes cut. That's why you see all these people in these expensive trailers all inside and not doing it in the open on your door, wanting to ask questions.
Give or take maybe one thing.
Yeah, I would say most of the guys that are winning consistently are doing pretty close to the same thing. The difference, you know, all these different barbecue products and stuff out there. There's a ton of great ones. There's no, like, I don't say.
So this is a personal question from what I've read. And if you don't want to touch on it, feel free to just say, nope, not doing it.
Uh-huh.
But I see a lot of people have questions with KCBS about feeling like they don't know what the judges want or what they're looking for, like it's a moving target.
Yeah, I mean, I see some of that, but I think it goes back. I've cooked in a lot of different organizations, and I think the KCBS is the best. It's not perfect. There's no perfect answer to that, or, you know, there's no perfect organization. I have trouble with it, but I mean, I think as far as fairness goes, or as far as what judges are looking for, all that's, I mean, it's close to the same. I mean, you can take a good product and cook here.
Barbecue competitions. What other type of comps done?
Well, here recently we've been doing a lot of these SCA or State Cook-Off Association events. Really got into them, man. They're right now they're kind of what barbecue used to be to me, because it was just about hanging out with your buddies, having beers while you cook, and nobody took it just so serious where everything's top secret and all that. There's all the money's not involved. So, and then you reverse the order, so everybody's got the equal chance to get through the line. And once you get your 2 steaks, you know, you got 2 hours to get it cooked the way you think it needs to be cooked. And it's really fun. If you hadn't been to one of these or seen one of them, they're low cost to enter, and all you need is a grill and maybe a prep table and a tent. You know, that's about it. You don't need a lot of equipment for it. So that's another reason why I like them. We team up with, you know, I cook against my brother, I cook against my wife. All my buddies that we cook with, we kind of made one big team, but we compete against everybody. We call it state team. But it's a lot of fun.
How does that get judged for the state competition?
They judge them. I went to the judging classes. You know, I'm a big proponent of going. I'm going to go learn to judge whatever I'm cooking. So I went to it, and you learned. It's like appearance, doneness, tenderness, overall, and I think there's 5 overall score, whatever, and texture or something like that. And it's judged on a scale of 1 to 10. They do add a decimal number to flavor or taste, I think, just to break it. And each judge judges it individually. Like, they'll have a cut table. You can only turn in 1 steak. You get 2, you turn in 1. Can't be cut. It just goes in a stone takeout box on a little bitty piece of full disc. And you set it in there and turn it in. Well, it goes to a cut table, and they cut it across the loin part, you know, the heart of the ribeye, and they prop it up on the front part. And that's where they judge your doneness. How close are you getting it? It has to be cooked to medium, a warm pink all the way through. And that's where they get that score. And once that first judge gets it, he judges that. He cuts him off a little bite, tastes it, marks his scores, puts that scorecard in an envelope and passes it to the next judge. And then the next entry comes to him. So they just make a chain of all of these entries. And they can do, you know, I've seen them, man, at the championship. I think there's 160 teams there. They judged it in less than 45 minutes. Wow. It's that fast. So, you know, it's really they've got it. The SCA guys have it down. They've got a really good system for judging. It's real fair. I mean, and growing, man, this organization's growing with leaps and bounds, and we're having a good time cooking these events.
All right, so I just seen there's a bunch of people that are still having a lag issue. It's weird because me, Scott, and Malcom, at least I'm speaking for you two, but I think I would have noticed it. It's not.
Yeah, no, I'm not having any issues at all. I can see the feed rolling. I can't see the live video, but
who knows? Hopefully, at the end, it'll compile itself back together. Russ just said it's starting to work for him, so maybe they got their shit figured out in California. So what are you allowed to cook on these state competitions? Anything
you want. Any cooking source, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you want to sous vide it, you can sous vide it and sear it in a skillet. Don't restrict you to what you can cook on. It's whatever you can bring. We started using these PK grills, or you've probably seen them. Granddad probably had one. It's this old 2-piece aluminum grill that's on a little cart, and they've been making them since like 1954 or something like that. But they're the reason why I like them, because they're lightweight. We can throw them in the back of the truck, and You don't have to take anything apart. You know, it just kind of nests down in the cart and lift it up real easy, and you dump the coals out real easy, and they cook a good steak. I mean, it's just a basic charcoal grill.
Scott, you got anything over there? I don't want to get you too piled up.
Thank you.
We were on a roll. I didn't want to break it because I felt like Malcom was just fuck knowing it.
No, that was good, guys. You ever hear of a whole Scott cook? That's what we're gonna have if I don't answer some of these questions or ask them.
Whole Scott.
All right, Pavy Project asked this question a while ago.
I don't know for sure. That's a good question because I've got some guys up there, the Code 3 Spices guys. I don't know if you guys know them, but they have a store not far from St. Louis, and we're talking about going up there and doing some backyard demo style classes up there actually with those guys. And then I want to go do a little barbecue crawl and just go to some of the St. Louis barbecue joints.
Okay, Rally Smoke asks Malcom, why doesn't he own an offset?
Hey, you'll be glad to know I've ordered one. I've got a Jambo coming, but it's take them it's supposed to be done in October. I've put my deposit down on one, so I'll have a stick burner next year to do some videos on.
Meathead wants to know, what's your favorite ingredient to use on pork, beef, and chicken?
Salt. I can't do anything without salt.
Raymax Kitchen and Grill. Malcom, have you ever tried the 2-2-1 method in cooking ribs?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we use in comps is more of like a 2-2-30. But it really depends. The last part of it depends on the type of grill. If you got a dry heat cooker, it'll set the glaze a little faster. The old 3-2-1 that everybody used to do was done like at 225 a lot of times on a water cooker. That's why it took so long to glaze. But if you use dry heat, like you're using a stick burner or an old hickory or a drum or something like that, it doesn't take as long to set that glaze.
Meathead wants to know what your ingredients are for your Killer Hogs rub.
That's proprietary. I can tell you it's got salt, brown sugar, pepper, cayenne, paprika, chili powder, a little mustard flour, a little cinnamon. It's got some trick stuff in it.
So I actually came across a web claimed that they
it's got some trick stuff in it.
So I actually came across a website that claimed that they had your recipe.
I've seen that video.
Video.
Yeah.
So I went on the eternal search for tomato powder. Do you know how hard that shit's to find?
God, it's very hard. We sourced it from, I think it was a company in New Jersey. It's been so long since I bought any of that stuff. That was a recipe that Waylon Wesley came up with a long time ago. I believe we did a Food Network show or something on there, and that was one of the ingredients he said he used in a rub he made. And I guess that's how that people ran with it, I guess. that recipe's been around a long time.
What else you got, Scott?
River City Barbecue. What temp do you cook your competition ribs at?
250, which is probably like 275 on just a regular cooker because it has a convection fan on it. You have to add about 25 degrees for that.
Someone's going to disagree with this, but hey, sorry guys, I tried the best I could. I hope I made somebody happy.
So we're getting close to the 1 hour mark. So of anybody that's left, if you got anything, pile it on Scott as fast as you can. I've got a handful of questions left for Malcom, but real quick, Malcom, what's your thoughts on, so I have a theory on temperature. I work with a guy who cooks brisket as close or if not under 200 degrees as he can. And his theory is that's what he likes. And then I see people that cook at 300. And before I spout something that's probably completely wrong, what's your thought process on temperature?
Well, you can get it done at that temp. You know, it just takes so long. I cook brisket at 275. I've cooked it at 250. I've cooked it at 225. The reason why I cook it at 275 now is just because it speeds it on through that stall. When we get it wrapped up, it speeds it right on through it for 26 hours or something like that. Well, I don't have the time to do that. I don't think it's any better. I mean, honestly, when it gets done, it's hard to beat. Just the old Texas style salt and pepper brisket cooked about 275 degrees until it gets barked up good. Then wrap it up, finish it, and let it rest for 2 hours. Once it hits about 202 degrees, I mean, it'll be as good or if not better than any brisket you can cook doing it that way. And it's simple.
See, I've always gone with the thought process of somebody that's cooking at a higher temperature has a shorter window for it to be good.
I agree with that. You're low and slow, you have more time to make up for any errors you might have made. You're cooking it hot and fast, there is no time. You really narrowed it down.
Right.
That's a great answer. I mean, you're exactly right.
All right. So Christy, Scott, I'm just going to throw this out here because Christy asked me. Christy's cooking channel wants to know, does he read his comments or does he have someone that handles his social media for him?
Me and my wife both do it. I don't, a lot of the YouTube comments, we read them. We read most of them. We may not answer all. We try to answer all of them, but you know how, I mean, it's a challenge to go through all the YouTube comments. I prefer all our stuff to go to Facebook or Twitter. It's easier for us to manage those there because we can do it on our phone. We try to keep up with all of them, and I glance at them.
All right. So Barlow's Barbecue asked me to ask you, any trends on cooking channels that you like or dislike? And there's anything that you'd like to see more or less of?
I don't know if there's anything I dislike. I mean, I like to see it all, but I just like to see good information. I watch all kinds of stuff on YouTube just like everybody else. I think it's a great platform for anything. I use it all the time. Just earlier, I was looking up bat reviews for my son, a new bat for Little League. So, I mean, I use it for everything. I think a lot of people do the same thing. YouTube's it's kind of turned into your search engine for information. I like the how-to videos. I mean, you can sit there and watch and learn something from somebody cooking. I think it's great. So, I mean, keep the food videos especially coming, and especially barbecue.
Yeah, I think I read the other day that YouTube has become the #2 search engine in the world.
I believe it. It's amazing. It's amazing how far it's grown since it started.
They just need to learn how to recommend my stuff more. Just a tip.
I wish I could learn how to recommend mine more.
Remember when you made that transition?
Well, we moved I guess we've been here going on 2 years that I could cook, and then we come where I was.
That's the boat I'm in. I ended up in the front yard because my neighbor has a sunroom in his back porch that's got windows, but that's where he keeps his dog. And every time I walk out there, that dog just goes bananas. So I'm like, yep, bananas. So I'm like, yep. Driveway's where I'm going to be living for a while. Yeah.
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with it. A bunch of my videos are front yard videos. You can go watch them.
All right. All right. Meathead's question. Who would be on your personal Mount Rushmore?
Oh, man. I'd probably have to put John Wayne. Can I put John Wayne up there?
You can put anybody you like. I told you there's no rules here.
John Wayne, probably they have to be dead or alive. It doesn't matter.
Anybody you want.
I'd put Mike Mills up there from 17th Street Barbecue. He's one of my mentors. If I got to put Mike, I got to put Mr. Pat too, Pat Burke. He would be up there, and then, man, that's tough. I don't know. I'll have to get back with you on the last one.
Just leave it open, then you don't make anybody mad.
Yeah, I'd put my dad up there. How about that? Somebody I look up to.
I don't know what's going on in the chat, but everybody quit being a fucking douchebag. There, I said it. All right. What's one thing that most people don't know about? All right. What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Oh, man. Most people don't know. I can play guitar. The more beers I drink, the better I'll sound to you. Or maybe the more beers you drink, the better I'll sound. How about that?
All right, Scott, it's on you. I'm out of questions. I'm going to take the paper and put it down on the floor.
Oh, I'm just scrolling back here. Russ, smoky ribs and barbecue and southern cuisine, wants to know, do you always wrap your briskets, even not in a comp?
Yeah, I always wrap brisket. Always. But here lately, especially cooking them at home,
Yep.
Right.
No, we're good.
Christy wants to know if you ever get recognized out in public.
Yeah, occasionally. I've had people come up and say, "Hey, I've seen you on YouTube."
How do you handle that? Are you the type that enjoys it or hates it?
I shake every hand I see and thank them for watching, because, and I tell them, man, if you keep watching, I'll keep making videos, because long as I got one, so I'm gonna make one.
All right, Kent Vanderweerd wants to know foil or butcher paper.
For me personally, I like the butcher paper just because I like a crunchier brisket, I like a bit better bark. In comps, we use full because I'm trying to save that au jus that cooks out. We use that for keeping that brisket moist and for channel, man.
All right. So this is the last question that there's two questions here that I always end with typically. Number one, and this doesn't have to be cooking related. One small channel, or one big channel, one small channel, and one channel you think should be bigger.
Oh man, name one big channel that I'm the Barbecue Pit Boys is the channel I'm trying to get them. Man, those guys got the reach and they've been doing it a long time, and I follow them and they do a great job. Different style of videos than what I do, but they do a great job spreading the word of barbecue. A small channel, that's tough. I don't know. There's so many good small channels. I mean, I don't know. Russ down there in South Mississippi, he's probably not a small channel anymore, and I've been following him ever since he's been going. So somebody like that, I mean, heck, I'm watching your stuff now, so I want your channel to grow. You need to get bigger, right?
That's what's funny is, so I've had the guy that's moderating right now, kind of weird. I think he had 17 subscribers when I had him on the hot seat first, somewhere in like that. So when I ask that question, it becomes the ladder game of where are you on the ladder as to what you consider small and what you consider big. All right. So last question of the night before I give you the floor to talk about anything you want to talk about. Who would you like to see on the hot seat in the future?
Let's see. Who would I like to see? I don't know. Have you had Danielle BBQ on? She'd be a good one.
I have not.
Yeah, she would be good. She doesn't make as many videos, so I would tune in and watch what she had to say.
And she's Canadian.
Joe, and it's a great thing for you.
Hell yeah.
All right, Malcolm, number one, I want to thank you for being on here. I know everybody that's watched feels the same way, but I'm going to leave the floor here in about 10 seconds before I plug this one last time. If you want to get Killer Hog's hat, shirt, Killer Hog's rub, the AP rub, and a barbecue sauce, leave a comment, and we will do the random generator twice, once from me and once from Malcolm. And we will get those things sent out to you as quickly as we can. The floor is yours, sir. End the show.
Well, hey, Chris, I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate, you invite me on. HowToBBQ was kind of being crazy for some folks, but maybe they'll go back and watch it once it gets, does its thing and gets loaded up. But, I really just want to say thanks to everybody out there that watches our stuff. We're shoot the breeze about anything. It's me and my wife, but we want to have guests. So I'm going to bring Chris. I'd like to get you on that sometime when I get it up. When we get comfortable enough to do guests, I'll have you call in and maybe you can spend some time. And we usually put we'll have it up on.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to end here. Malcolm, stay on for a minute after the show. Thank you guys for watching. Next week, we've got, I jokingly call him Texas style barbecue and cuisine son. He will be on next week. His channel name is Texas Beard Adventures. So, somewhat newer channel, but the dude's entertaining as hell. I don't even know how to word it other than that. So, stay tuned for next Thursday. We're going to sign off here. Thank you guys. Love you. Goodbye.